Students, please confirm, am I audible? Thank you, students. Thank you for confirming. Students, before proceeding further, this is our day 2. Let's go back and take a quick recap of what we discussed yesterday. So let's go ahead with a quick recap of what we discussed yesterday. Student, yesterday we discussed about the history of Python, right? We discussed about the history of Python, that where can we, and when it was conceived, and when it was implemented. When it was implemented, right? So after that, we discussed about that where can we use the Python programming? Where can we use the Python programming? What kind of applications we can develop with the Python programming? After that, we discussed, as I've told you, we discussed about the history of Python, right? That it was conceived in 1980 and implemented in 1989 and officially released to the industry in 1991, February 20. Who was the father of Python? Guido van Rossum. It was developed at Centrum Wiskunde Informatica Institute in Netherlands, and now a non-commercial organization, that is PSF, Python Software Foundation, is taking care of the programming language. So the official website of Python Software Foundation is www.python.org, from where we can easily download the Python program. Now, versions of Python we have discussed. Then we discussed about the major and the minor versions. Right now, which is the major version? 3 is the major version and 0.11 is the minor version. Right? Now, after that, we started discussing about the features of Python. The first feature we discussed is the simple, and I've told you why it is simple. Why it is simple? Why is this language simple? Student, I need to attend a call. Just hold for a second. I'm putting you on a hold for a minute. Just please be online. Yes, I'm sorry, students. Thank you for being online. And I was sharing you about the simple, why it is simple. We have learned that it is a simple language, and it is simple because of its 3 factors. One is because of its rich set of APIs. Then we discussed about what is the API. We discussed about the API. Now, what is API? After that, we discussed about the factor 2. Why? Because of its garbage collector. What does the garbage collector do? It removes the unused memory. And the third factor for being its simple language is because of the user-friendly syntaxes. Then we discussed about the platform-independent language, how the Python is a platform-independent language. Why? Because its data types memory remains same for all the OSs. Okay. So And in Python program, all the values are stored in the form of objects. Third is freeware and open source. What do we understand by the freeware? It is freeware. It means it can be freely downloaded from its official website. So any software which is freely downloaded from its official website is known as the freeware. Now we talk about the open source. And we all know, as I've told you yesterday also, the standard name of Python is C Python. Okay, so customized versions of Python are called the distribution of Python. As we have the JPython, Iron Python, MicroPython, Ruby Python, and Anaconda Python, etc. We have many others also. So we discussed about the dynamically typed, that how is this program, how is this language a dynamically typed programming language. So hope you have understood what we discussed yesterday. Hope we have understood what we have discussed yesterday. Today we are going to proceed with our day 2. Students, just a second, students. Just a second. Let me make the, just a second. Okay, just a second. Features of Python continued. Now, what do we understand by the features of Python? The fifth feature is interpreted programming. Now, what do we understand by interpreted programming, students? Student, whenever we develop any Python program, we must give it a name with an extension that is .py. Okay, like I am writing a program with addition. I am writing a program for addition. So what I need to do is I'm saving it with the name of addition.py. So .py is the extension which should be used to develop any Python program. Now, whenever we execute Python program, two processes take place internally. Now, what are those two processes? One is the compilation process and other is the execution process. First is the compilation and the second is execution. Now, what do we understand by compilation process? Student, Python source code submitted to the Python compiler. And it reads the source code, check the errors, verifying the syntax, and if no errors found, then the Python compiler converts into intermediate code like bytecode with an extension .py. .pyc, file name .pyc. If error found in source code, then error displayed on the console. Now, what do we understand by the compilation process? Student, have you understood this? Student, when we talk about the compilation process, what does the source code do? Whenever we write any program, what happens is it internally checks the errors by verifying the syntaxes. Okay, if there will be no syntax, if there will be no error, if they found no error in the syntaxes, what does the Python compiler do? It converts it into the bytecode. It converts it into the bytecode, which is a machine understandable language. Okay, with an extension .pyc. Students, please remember that it will be. Let me clear one thing, that we are saving the file with .py, but internally it will be saved with .pyc. Okay, Python compiler converts it into the intermediate code with an extension .pyc, that is in its memory. If any error found in the source code, then the error displayed on the console. Now we talk about the execution process. Now we talk about the execution process. Now, what does the PVM do? What does the PVM do? Whenever we talk about the PVM reads the Python intermediate code. What does it do? It reads the Python intermediate code, that is a bytecode, line by line, convert it into the machine understandable code, that is a binary code, and reads by the processor, and finally it gives the result. And finally, what happens is it gives the result, right? Is this clear, students? Now, we are talking about PVM. Now, do we understand the meaning of PVM? The PVM reads the Python intermediate code. We are talking about the PVM. What is PVM, students? Anybody has an idea? Please reply in the chat box. If any one of you knows the PVM, what is PVM? Please let me know. If you are aware of, then also please let me know. If you are not, then also let me know. Python virtual machine, right. So, right. Otherwise, it's what if we talk about the PVM? PVM is a parallel virtual machine. Otherwise, PVM is a parallel virtual machine. Okay, is this okay? Okay, now let's go ahead. It's okay. So line by line, it read that and convert into the machine understandable language, that is binary language. We all know the binary language. How many digits the binary language contains? 0 and 1, 2, right? It reads by the OS and processor, and finally it gives the result. And finally it gives the result. Okay, now, in Python programming, execution, compilation process, and execution process is taking place line by line conversion, and it is also of the interpretation-based programming language. Why it is known as the interpreted programming language? Because the compilation and execution takes place line by line conversion. Because of its line by line conversion, so that is why it is known as the interpretation-based programming language. Yes, definition of PVM, otherwise it is parallel virtual machine, but now we are using it as a Python virtual machine. Now, what is PVM? Is one of the Python software whose role is to read line by line of bytecode, and it converts it into the machine understandable code, which is a binary code. Let's go ahead. Now, this is with the help of diagram. I have tried to make it easier for you. So what happens is, how does the compilation process takes place? Student, I have saved a file with the name of sum.py. This is a source code, right? This is a source code. After that, the compilation process takes place. What does happen? The Python compiler, the compilation takes place line by line. Then in the intermediate, when we talk about the intermediate code will happen, it will change it into the sum.pyc. That is a bytecode. After that, what will happen? The executions takes place. What does the PVM do? PVM reads line by line bytecode and converts it into the binary code. And gives the result. So what does the PVM do? It reads line by line of bytecode and converts it into the machine understandable format, that is binary code, read by OS and processor, and it gives result. Is this clear, students? Am I clear till here? Please confirm, students. Am I clear till here? Okay, good. Now let's go ahead. Now, we are talking about the high level programming language. Now, how the Python is a high level programming language? Student, In general, we have two types of programming language. We all know if we are talking about the high level programming language, it means we also have the low level programming language. So we have two types of programming language. One is low level and the other one is high level. When we talk about the low level programming language, what happens is we represent the data in the lower level data like binary, octal, hexa, and decimal. And this type of data is not by default understandable by programmers and end users. So in the programming, in the low level programming language, if we discussed, it always represents the data in the form of binary, octal, hexa, decimal. Binary, octal, and hexadecimal. So that is the binary language understandable by the end user? No. Octal? No. Hexadecimal? No. So that is why the low level programming languages, they always have the data in the binary, octal, and hexadecimal type. Okay, so which is not understandable by the end user. Whenever we talk about the high level programming language, what happens is, although it represents the data in low level programming language, but it automatically converts it into the decimal number system. So what happens is, it automatically converts it into the decimal number system data, which is understandable by programmers and end users. Okay, so which is understandable by programmers and end users, and Python is one of the high level programming language. What does it do? It converts the binary, octal, and hexadecimal into the decimal number system, which is understandable by the end users. Is this clear, students? Is this clear? Now let's go ahead. Now, how is the language robust? I've told you yesterday also, robust means strong. Now, how can we say that Python is a strong language? Because of its exception handling. Because of its exception handling. Now, what do we understand by exception? Now, runtime errors. Whenever we run the program, runtime errors of the programs are called the exceptions. Okay. So exceptions by default, what does it do? It generates the technical error messages. So whenever we run the program, in case we have any error in it, it by default generates the technical error messages. And what do we understand by exception handling? Process of converting technical error messages into user-friendly error messages is called the exception handling. Student, if we get any syntax error, we will get the syntax error there and then. But will the end user are able to understand it? No. But the technical error messages converts into the user-friendly error messages because of its exception handling. So if the Python program uses exception handling, the Python program is a robust programming language. Is this clear? Now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead with the extensible. Student, when we talk about the extensible, what does that mean? It means it is giving its programming facilities to the other languages also. Okay, so the Python programming giving its programming facilities to the other languages also, like C++, which means Python code can also be written in the other languages like C++. So that is why Python is one of the extensible programming language. Now embedded. Student, Python programming can call other languages coding segment for fastest execution. So what does the Python programming do? It can call the other languages coding segments for its fastest execution. That is why Python code can call, that is why it is an embedded language. Example, Python code can call C programming code also. Now, let's go ahead. Now, what does that extensive support for third APIs? Student, extensive support for third API. Hi, is there any other batch time for Python? Students, we have the running batches. This is a new batch. This is a new batch. If we talk about the earlier batches, they all are into the mid. They have started like 2 weeks back. Okay. So you need to, if you want to learn, you can proceed with this batch, and you will also, if you want, you can get the recordings also. Is this okay, Amar? You will get the recordings also. Whenever you get time, you can go ahead with the recordings. Okay. Okay, now we are talking about the extensive support for the third API. Student was just, what does that mean? It means because of its libraries, it can do many tasks and operations. But because it cannot solve the complex operations. Okay, because although it has a rich set of APIs, but it is unable to solve the complex operations. To solve such complex operations more easily, it uses the third-party APIs. It uses the third-party APIs, such as NumPy. Why does it use the NumPy? It is for numerical calculations. If we talk about the pandas, it is used as an analysis tool. Matplotlib, that is for data visualization. It will go ahead with SciPy and Scikit also. Now, identifiers and literals in Python. Students, with this, we have ended with the features of Python. So hope you have understood the features of the Python. Hope you all have understood the features of the Python. Is this clear to your students? Thank you, students. Thank you for replying. Okay, let's go ahead. Now we'll start with the new topic, that is identifiers and literals in Python. Student, when we talk about the identifiers or literals are nothing but they are the values passing to the Python program. Literals in Python are nothing but the values passing to the Python program. So what does that mean? Whenever we write any Python program, we must enter inputs such are called the literals. So whatever value, whatever input we'll do, that will be known as the literals or values. Clear? So all types of values are called the literals. All types of values are called the literals. So whenever we make any input, that will be known as the literals. Okay. In Python program, we have 5 types of literals. They are integer literal, floating point literal, str literal, Boolean, and collection literal. I'll explain that to you also. From tomorrow onwards, we'll go ahead with this. Now, in Python programming, as I've told you, we have 5 types of literal: integer, floating, str, Boolean, and collection. Now, identifiers. What do we understand by identifiers or variables in Python? Whenever we enter input, whenever we make any input or literal, what happens? It stores in the memory by allocating sufficient amount of memory space with the help of data type. What happens is it's stored in the main memory. Whenever we make any input, it automatically stored in the main memory by allocating the sufficient amount of memory space with the help of data type. So to process the data which was stored in the main memory as a programmer, we must follow some distinct names, and these names make us to identify the value stored in the memory space, and hence names are called as the identifiers. So whenever we want to process such data in the main memory, which is stored in the main memory, we must use some distinct names. So these names make us to identify the value stored in the memory space, and these are known by the name of identifiers. So the value of identifiers are changing or verifying during program executions. They are also known as the variables. So all type of inputs, whatever or literal, must be stored in the form of variables. So all types of variables are called the objects. We have discussed it yesterday also. So all types of variables are called the objects, and all the inputs or literal must be stored in the form of variables. Now, definition of variable. A variable is an identifier whose value can be changed during execution of the program. It is an identifier. Let me show you. As we were doing yesterday. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20. Student, when we talk about A is equal to 10, A is what? It is what is A here? Tell me now. It is an identifier. It's written here, students. It's written here. See, it is an identifier. Now, whenever we want to, it can be changed during the execution of the programming. Like B is equal to 20, C is equal to A plus B, print C. Just a second, students. Now during the execution, I'm just giving you an example. Whenever we write the program, you'll be better come to know about it. We can always change the value. We can always change the value. Now, just a second. C is equal to A plus B, print C. So we have got the result. So I have told you it is an identifier. Is this clear, students? Now, students, what are the rules for using identifiers or variables in Python programming? Students, there are some rules for using the identifiers or variables in Python program. Now, what are those? Variable name is a combination of alphabet, digits, and the special symbol underscore only. Student, please remember that the variable name we are talking about, it is a combination of alphabets, digits, and a special symbol. Which is a special symbol? Underscore only. We cannot use another special symbol. The first letter of variable name must start with either with an alphabet or with the underscore. Now, let me show you. If I'll write, it should be start with the alphabet or underscore only. As if I write AB is equal to 50, it is acceptable. If I'll write $AB is equal to 50, we'll get the error. We will get the error. If I write underscore AB, it says hyphen is AB is equal to 50, I'll get the error. If I write underscore AB is equal to 50, Will I be able to get the answer? Yes. Yes. It is understandable. It is a valid. It is valid. So if I write 1AB is equal to 50, again, we'll get the error. But if I write underscore first, and after that, I'll write AB1 is equal to 50, it will be accepted. This is valid. So what have we learned? What have we learned? We have learned that it should be a combination of, alphabet, digit, and a special symbol. It can be a combination of alphabet, digit, and a special symbol, that is underscore. But the first letter should always be a alphabet or underscore, otherwise we'll get the error. See, I have given the examples here. 1 ABC is equal to 23. I have tried to write that. I got the invalid. If I write sal 1, 2, 3 is equal to 45, that is valid. If I write underscore sal is equal to 4.5, that is valid. But if I write dollar sal is equal to 4.5, that will be invalid. So students, I have shown with the help of example. I have shown it with the help of example. Now let's go ahead. Students, okay, now no special symbols. Just a second. No special symbol except underscore is accepted. Okay, if we talk about the hash, student, whenever we use hash, it is used for commenting in Python. Okay, so whenever we use hash, it is used for commenting in Python. Okay. Okay. Now let me write. Now let me give you one more example. Okay. Oh, okay. Just a second, student. Yes. If I write employee sal is equal to 45. Sal is equal to 45. That is acceptable. If I write employee space sal, why it is not acceptable? Why it is not acceptable? Because space is a special symbol. If I write sal is equal to 45, that is acceptable. If I write sal, now I'm writing employee hash sal is equal to 45. It is, we'll get the error. We'll get the error. Why we'll get the error? Because we have not, employee we have not defined. But if I write sal, salary of employee is equal to, we will get the result. Because sal, why have we got the result? Because salary we have already defined. Okay, whenever we use hash, that is for commenting purpose. So it will take it as a comment. Or that is acceptable. And we have got the result. Is this clear, student? Is this clear? Student, is this clear to you? This is something very important. Is this clear? That why have we got the 45? Why have we got 45? Okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming. Thank you for confirming, students. So, as I've told you, whenever we talk about the hash, it is always used for commenting purpose. Why here? I have got the error, but when I write sal is equal to 45, I have got the result. Now let's go ahead. Students, let's go ahead. Okay. Now, students, please remember, no keywords to be used as a variable names. No keywords to be used as a variable name, like if or else. Now, what are the keywords? What are the keywords? Keywords are reserved words in programming language and they give specific meaning to the compiler. Okay. So if we want to use else, if, for, so they cannot be used. These are the keywords which are used for giving specific meaning to the compilers. When we start running the program, you'll come to know about it. Let me show you again. Let me show you. If I'll write else is equal to 45, I've got the error. If I got if is equal to 45, I get the error again. Okay, students. Students, am I audible? Students, am I audible? Okay. Okay, there was some error. There was some error. Okay. Thank you, students. Thank you. I was facing some issues. Nothing visible. Is this visible now? Is the screen visible to you? Good, good. That's nice. Okay. Now, if I write float is equal to 4.5, that will be acceptable. That will be acceptable. But if I write any keyword, if or else, that will be not acceptable. Clear? Now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. See, all variable names are case sensitive. So in whichever case, whether in the uppercase or in the lower case, we'll write the variable name, it will be acceptable. It will be acceptable. Let me show you. Let me show you. Now, if I write age is equal to 45, it is acceptable. If I write age is equal to 45, that is also acceptable. If I write age is equal to 45, it is also acceptable. Now, if I write age is equal to 45, that is also acceptable. Now, if I write, I'm sorry, students, print age, comma, let's write age, comma, let's write age, and let's write it age. Just a second. So we'll get the result. You get the results. So all the variables are case sensitive. Is this clear? Is this clear, students? Okay. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Okay. Now, it is always recommended to use the user-friendly variable names. It is always recommended to use the user-friendly variables name. Now, what do we understand by the user-friendly variables name? User-friendly variables name. Like, let me write, just a second. If I want to write total, there should not be space, students. Total number of employees. Total number of employees is equal to 34. Is equal to 34. It is acceptable, but it is not, when we talk about it, it is not recommended. We should write like this. We can write like this. We should always use the user-friendly technical language. Total number of employees is equal to 44. It is also acceptable. So we should always use the user-friendly syntaxes. If I write like this, total number of employees, is it acceptable? We'll get the invalid syntax. This is a syntax error. Clear, students? Now, let's go ahead. Okay. Now, okay. Next session, that's all for the session today, students. That's all for the session today. So we have discussed about the identifiers and literals in the Python. So after that, we have discussed about the variable. Now, if you have any questions, you people can raise your hands. Bhanu Prakash, okay. Yes, Bhanu, tell me. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Actually, I have joined 133 batch previously, Python 133 batch.
Okay,
now,
okay.
Changed to this batch, but the recordings I am not getting.
Recordings you are not getting. You have
in
earlier joined the 133 batch.
Yeah, my portal was not updated.
Okay, so have you paid the fee?
Yeah, done already.
Okay, if you have already done, don't you worry, you will get the recordings. I'll talk to our technical team. They will contact you and will provide you the recordings. Don't you worry about it.
Sure.
Okay.
And one more
Thank you,
thing.
yes.
I have I want to know the difference between the variable and then identifier.
You want to know the difference between the literals and the identifiers? The variable and the identifier.
Yeah, variable.
Okay, students, just a second. I have a question also, a generic question. What is the number of days session in this course? Just a second. I'll tell you about it. Okay, students, where Bhanu, in the earlier session also we did this, that, see, variable is an identifier. What does it do? It gives, like, we are giving a name, right? A is equal to 45, or the age of a person is 45, right? So A is a variable. Okay. A is a variable which helps us in letting us know to let us know that what is the age, right? So A is an identifier which is helping us to knowing the, like I have written here, the total number of, just a second. As I have written here, total number of employees is equal to 34, right? So if we write like this will be the variable. Okay, although this is also acceptable. This is a variable, like age is equal to 45. This is a variable.
Yes, ma'am.
It is an identifier. And whenever we run the program, we can change the value of that. Clear?
Hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Any other student? Okay, just a second. Just a second, Shruti. Yes, Shruti, tell me. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, Ritu ma'am. Actually, I'm working as a RPA developer, and I need to learn. Actually, I need to learn about Python script, how to write. So, in your batch, can I get the chance to learn how to use Python script, how to write in your session?
Definitely, definitely. It is just a start of Python, student.
Okay, okay.
Wait, Shruti, we'll go ahead because this is a 50-day session. So
Yeah,
you will learn each and everything in it. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you will come to know how to run the Python programs.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, okay, Ritu.
fine. Okay, Gautam. Yes, Gautam, tell me. Please unmute yourself. Gautam, you're not audible. Gautam, you're not audible. In case you want to ask anything, please just drop a message in this chat box so that I can answer you. Okay. Okay, I have a question in the chat box. Okay, a generic question. What is the number of days or session in this course? Students, the number of, it is a 50 days course. It means we'll be having the 50 sessions. Days means 50 sessions. Is this clear, Balaji? Balaji, am I clear to you? You want me to display the page number 18. Okay, I'll display that for you. Okay, and we'll be explaining test cases as well. Yes, we'll be explaining the test cases also. Gautam will be explaining the test cases also. I'll display the page 18 to the other students. Okay, just a second. Now Santosh wants to ask me the question. Santosh, just a second. I'm just going to display the page. After that, I'll answer your question. Okay. This is what you want to know. This is what the student want me to display. Is this clear, student? Don't you worry, you will get the PDF of this also. Once you'll pay the fee, you'll get the PDF of this also. Okay. Ma'am, how this session is different from Sunil sir Python session? See, okay, the Sunil sir is teaching the basics, and this is a basic to advanced. This is a basic to advanced course. Vijay Lakshmi, it is a basic to advanced. Is this clear? Okay, I am teaching. See, I am teaching the basics plus advanced. The Sunil sir, I don't know. He must be teaching the. You must go ahead with the course content. You will come to know about the difference also. Okay. Any other questions, students? Any other question? Any one of you has the question? 50 session Monday to Friday. Yes, the sessions will be from Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday will be off. Saturday and Sunday will be off. Any other questions, students? Students, do you want to ask anything? Okay, students, I think that's all for the session today. We are done with the today's session. Tomorrow, we'll proceed further. This will also, you'll get the notes in the form of a PDF format only. But in the next session, from the next session, tomorrow's session, we'll start everything in the form of PDF. We'll not discuss in the PowerPoint. Okay. We'll run the session in the PDF only so that it will be better understandable to you. So that's also for the end. That's all for the session today. Keep practicing and have a nice day. Enjoy yourself, students. Bye.